Thank you for calling Muslim Legal Fund of America. Please listen closely as our menu has changed. If you know the extension of the person you are trying to reach, you may dial it at any time. If you would like to apply for assistance or follow up on an application, please press 1 to be transferred to Constitutional Law Center for Muslims in America. If you would like to make a donation or update your pledge, please press 2. If you have a question about an upcoming event or would like to invite MLFA to your mosque, please press 3. For all other inquiries, please press 4. Thank you for calling Muslim. Muslim Legal Fund of America, this is Alize. How may I help you?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Omar Mohsen Ibrahim Fuad.
Okay, walaikum assalam. What are you calling in regards to?
I spoke with Sarah and Islam yesterday. I was just calling to make sure everything is okay. I called yesterday to get some help with a police brutality case that I mentioned to them, and I sent them some documentation pertaining to it.
Okay. And how do you spell your name?
My full name is Omar Mohsen Ibrahim Fuad. So my first name is spelled Omar, Omar, Oscar, Mary, Alpha, Romeo. And then Mohsen, Mohsen, Mary, Oscar, Halo, Sam, Echo, Nora. And then Ibrahim, Ibrahim, India, Bravo, Romeo, Alpha, Halo, India, Mary. And then my last name is Fuad, Fouad, Foxtrot, Oscar, Uniform, Alpha, Delta.
Okay. Yes, I see your intake. Sorry you experienced that, by the way. Yeah, it seems like your intake has been sent to the civil department. So they'll probably respond to you whenever they're able to review, the documents you sent and your case.
Okay. Inshallah. Should I call tomorrow, or should I be expecting a phone call or an email, or I was gonna ask you also, is it possible if I could schedule a meeting to speak with someone in person there? Because I could take a flight there from Tallahassee.
Oh, they also meet with people, or they'll call people once they're able to review, your intake. Usually someone will, the contact information you put, your name and email on the intake form. So we have that in our records, and someone, after they're able to review your request, they'll schedule a meeting if it's something that we can help with. So I can let them know that you called again. I'll put a note on your file and that you're requesting a meeting. So if it is something that they're able to help with, then they'll let you know. But if not, they're supposed to provide a referral to, or you can even ask
whenever you get that email, but they should provide you with a referral to an organization or attorney that can help.
Inshallah. I really, really need help with this case. It, is it possible maybe if I could send like some money to the Muslim Legal Fund just to make sure that they see that I'm serious, that I really need help, and I'm willing to pay out of pocket ahead of time, just so the person who could help me could make sure they have enough money to help me.
So we actually provide all of our services pro bono. So you won't be paying for any of our services. Honestly, the main way that the cases we accept, like the main criteria for the cases, are if they align with our mission. Since we're a nonprofit, we have to basically help with the cases that the community funds us to help with. So I'm in the criminal defense department, so it's a little bit different. But your case, once the civil department's able to review it, hopefully they should be getting to that soon. It seems like you submitted it on Wednesday, so it's only been, I think a day since you submitted the intake. So, by next week, if you don't hear back, then feel free to call again to check in. But it usually takes, a day or two or a couple days for them to review all the intakes they get. So, we definitely welcome donations and all of that, but that won't really, affect the type of legal assistance you're getting.
Okay. But if there is anything that I could do to help, I will be more than willing to do that, to help. I've literally had to move from South Florida to Tallahassee, Florida, because of the police brutality situation that caused injuries to my neck, my back, and my lower extremities. And I'm literally in Tallahassee, Florida now. I'm trying also to get my law degree and my medical degree, and the motivation to obtain my law degree and my medical degree entirely comes from the fact that I couldn't find a lawyer to help me in South Florida with this police brutality case, and I literally had to go to the courthouse and explain to them my situation, and then they gave me a packet to fill out, and they told me to fill it out and to ask for an indigency form and to fill out an indigency form and to take it from there. And they said they'll assign a judge to the case and to explain what they did to me to the judge. And I did what they said. But then after I explained the situation to the judge, and the judge specifically said that he's willing to consider granting me relief, the coronavirus pandemic happened, and they literally shut down the courthouses, and it was almost impossible for me to continue to go to the courthouse or obtain monetary relief from the case because of the coronavirus pandemic and the fact that the only places that I was able to find to live were uninhabitable rental properties that were advertised on Craigslist, and it was a nightmare, literally. And not only did I catch the coronavirus, but I ended up catching Streptococcus group A from the uninhabitable rental properties. I had to get surgery, and it was one problem after the next. And I literally had to move from South Florida, and I'm now in Tallahassee, Florida. And I'm trying my best to educate myself on the law and the medical field, and knowing how important that is now after not being able to find somebody to help me in South Florida and having two daughters, a 16-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old daughter. I know how important it is to have somebody with a law degree and a medical degree in their life, because if the situation that involves the police brutality, for example, that happened to me, and me not being able to find anybody to help me, and there's still being cases involving police brutality and difficulties of obtaining monetary relief from police brutality cases. I know how important it is for, from my daughter's perspective, at the age that they're in now, that, it's imperative that I have my law degree and my medical degree, because, God forbid, if something like this ever happens to my daughters or my family, having somebody with a law degree and a medical degree is going to eliminate the possibility of them suffering like I did, or like I still am suffering, and from the police brutality case. And, I don't want them to suffer like that. I don't want them to suffer at all. And
yeah, I'm sorry. It's definitely very terrible what happened. Are there any, it seems like you were referred to us by another organization. Have you tried reaching out to CARE in Florida as well?
I haven't. I reached out to CARE previously. There was a Muslim, from what it looked like, there was somebody from Nama Masjid in Gambia, a country called Gambia. There was a young brother. He requested some money for the masjid called Nama Masjid in Gambia, and I was trying to help him as genuinely as possible. I mean, I asked him if he could please, send me some videos of, the conditions there in Gambia, because he mentioned that there's a lot of children that need food and a place to live, and he said the conditions are really bad. And,
yeah.
I felt bad for him, and so I reached out to CARE, and I sent them a message, an email and a message on their website, and specifically specifying the name of the masjid and the fact that they mentioned that they need help. I don't know if they helped them after that, after providing them their information and the request that they made to me. But inshallah they did. But that was when I reached out to CARE. But I didn't reach out to CARE for the police brutality case.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know they have a Florida chapter, so maybe also reach out to them to see, if this is something that they do. We'll try to get you, a response as soon as possible. But the civil department, I don't know, they'll be the only ones that will be able to tell you if this is something in scope for them or not. But yeah, it definitely is very terrible what happened to you. So I'll let them know that you requested an appointment to speak with someone as well. And hopefully someone will get back to you by next week. But if you don't hear back, by next Wednesday or something, feel free to, call again and see if, you can get an answer sooner rather than later.
Inshallah. I really need some help with this situation. I mean, at this point, I just need monetary relief. The department that you work in, you said it's the Criminal Defense Department?
Yeah. So our cases are a little bit different. Usually it's if the government's, charging someone with a crime, usually terrorism related, because that's the type of cases we take. So
the case originally, the police brutality case that I'm reporting to you for help with, they arrested me and they tried to charge me, but I didn't commit any crimes. They literally, after the police brutality case caused by Officer Ronnie Rodriguez, on August 7th, 2018, they arrested me and they brought me to the hospital, and they kept me at the hospital for 10 days. And then on the 10th day, they assigned a public defender They assigned two public defenders, Public Defender Julianne D. Maria and Public Defender Hugh Keoth. And there was a judge there named Judge Alvin Balint Jr. and a prosecutor there named Prosecutor Lourdes. And the two public defenders that they assigned to help me, they proved that I didn't do anything wrong, I didn't break any laws, and that I was beaten up by the police. And the Judge Alvin Balint Jr., he confirmed that, and he released me from the hospital. And they didn't charge me for anything, because obviously I didn't commit any crimes. But the officer himself, he falsified the police report and said that he arrested me and brought me to the hospital because I was walking into traffic. And that was the excuse that he used for arresting me and bringing me to the hospital. But they verified that was false. They have the pictures from the internal affairs detective that they sent to the hospital after I called 911 from the hospital and told them what the officer did. So they have the proof of the injuries that the officer caused me, and they also have the proof that the officer falsified the police report. But they arrested me in the beginning, and they tried to charge me. So the criminal defense department, I think your department should be able to help me because they arrested me, and they falsely arrested me. So isn't that criminal defense?
So, did they drop the charges against you? Are you still facing any charges?
So there was a second police brutality case on March 27, 2019, also in the city of Miami. That case involves police brutality also. There was two officers who jumped me, and they caused injuries to my body, and they left several bruises on my body, and they arrested me, and they charged me with trespassing and resisting arrest without violence to their person. And that was on March 27, 2019 at the Four Seasons Hotel in downtown Miami. I was at the Four Seasons Hotel in downtown Miami because...
So are you still facing those charges, or have they been upped?
No, they put me on probation for that. But the thing is, the problem is that there's a situation involving J.P. Morgan Chase Bank that I caught them in. They were involved in an Uber scam that I caught them in, and I reported them, and they hired a law firm named Homer, Bonner, and Jacobs Law Firm, and they're located at the Four Seasons Hotel in downtown Miami, Florida. And they hired the Homer, Bonner, and Jacobs Law Firm after I reported them to a federal judge named the Honorable Chief Justice Michael Moore in federal court in South Florida. And the Homer, Bonner, and Jacobs Law Firm that was hired by J.P. Morgan Chase Bank requested to settle with me out of court, and I agreed. And I agreed, and they FedExed overnight rush delivered the settlement documentation. And I was also directed by the Honorable Chief Justice Michael Moore to sign the sign the settlement documentation. So immediately, as soon as they mailed me the documentation and I received it, I signed it, and we scheduled an appointment because I signed the documentation at a specific day and time. And they said they were going to call me on that specific day and time because I signed the settlement documentation and we agreed to settle out of court. But they didn't call me on that specific day and time. So I called them at the Homer and Bonner Jacobs Law Firm, and they didn't answer the phone. So I went to the Homer and Bonner Jacobs Law Firm with the settlement documentation that they told me to sign. And the people at the office at the Homer, Bonner, and Jacobs Law Firm at the Four Seasons Hotel on the 14th floor, they said that the lawyers aren't there. And they said they're going to try to call them for me. And when they tried to call them, they said they didn't answer the phone. So they told me just to sit down in the lobby, and they're going to try to call them again. And they tried to call them again, and they didn't answer the phone. And while I was waiting for them in the lobby to call them, I asked the receptionist if I could use the bathroom. She gave me the code to use the bathroom. I entered the bathroom. I used the bathroom. I washed my hands. I exited the bathroom, and I sat back down in the lobby. And the receptionist said that they still didn't answer the phone, and they tried to call them again. And the receptionist said, if I'd like, I could schedule another appointment. And I said, okay. So I scheduled another appointment to speak with them.
Okay, sure. So it doesn't seem like you have a criminal defense case currently. So our department wouldn't be able to help with that. This would still be a civil case because it doesn't seem like there are any charges against you. And also the types of criminal defense cases we take, they're usually not state cases, they're federal. So it's not something that our department would help with, unfortunately. But your complaint is that, the police officers, engaged in something really terrible, and the injuries that you sustained because of police brutality, that is definitely more for like the civil department. So what I'll do is I'll flag it again, like in their emails, that you called to check in on your intake again, and let them know that you're interested in setting up an appointment soon. And again, if you don't hear back like by next Wednesday, then feel free to call again. But that should be enough time, hopefully, for them to give you a response.
Okay, yeah, the thing is, though, after I scheduled the appointment with the receptionist, I exited the Homer and Bonner Jacobs law firm, and I was waiting in front of the elevator for the elevator to open so I could go 14 floors down to the ground floor and leave the building. And 2 police officers walked in from the other elevator that was next to me, and the Homer and Bonner Jacobs law firm told them that I was trespassing, and that's not true. And I was there well within my legal rights. I had a binding contract between me, Homer Bonner and Jacobs law firm, and J.P. Morgan Chase Bank. And
did they charge you with trespassing, the officers? Is that the government charged you with trespassing?
Yeah, the officers literally, as we were walking downstairs, as we got into the elevator and we were leaving, I was explaining to the officers what happened and the fact that they were lying about me trespassing. And literally right before I was about to walk into the parking garage to obtain my bicycle that was hanging on the wall next to the other bicycles in the parking garage so I could leave, I asked the officers for their names and badge numbers, and they got mad at me for asking them for their names and badge numbers, and they jumped me. They left several bruises on my body, and then they arrested me. And they charged me with trespassing and resisting arrest without violence to their person. And they put me on probation for that. And I didn't break any laws. I didn't trespass. I didn't do anything wrong at all.
So if they put you on probation, does that mean did you plead guilty, or were you tried? What do you mean?
Well, they told me I was on probation. And it was really complicated because they tried to do a lot of different things to complicate the situation, because I filed a lawsuit pro se against the City of Miami Police Department on August 7th. For the police brutality that happened on August 7th, 2018, the first case that I mentioned to you. And they were doing things on purpose to harass me and try to scare me, and they were doing so many different things to just make me give up on continuing to sue them to obtain monetary relief. And one of those things were them jumping me for the second time and injuring me and putting me on probation and charging me with trespassing and resisting arrest without violence to their person. And that's not true, because I didn't trespass and I didn't resist arrest or anything like that. They were just trying to make it seem like I was a bad person so the officer in the first case could have some kind of defense, because they didn't have any defense. And the police brutality from the first case was witnessed by Sergeant Edwin Gomez, and then it was confessed to PRI officer Leslie Diaz, who immediately arrived to that crime scene and confronted Officer Ronnie Rodriguez, who committed the police brutality and caused injuries to my neck and my back.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about all of that. So, again, I think this still is something that like our civil department would deal with, because it seems like there's no current like criminal charge against you. Like you're on probation now, apparently. So it doesn't seem like you're contesting the criminal charge.
The probation, the probation is finished. I finished the probation, but they put me on probation for that. And I wasn't supposed to be put on probation. I wasn't supposed to be arrested. I wasn't supposed to be trespassed. I wasn't supposed to be beat up by the police. I wasn't supposed to be jumped by the police. None of those things. I didn't commit any crime.
What you would probably be looking for is you're trying to sue, the agencies, the law enforcement, the police officer, the agencies that charge you with this, all of that. So anything involving a lawsuit of that nature, that would be something our civil department does. Again, our criminal defense department, we really only do federal cases, usually related to national security. So this is something that would be out of scope for us, even if it was still, in the criminal stage. So, I'll recommend that, you try to speak with them. They'll have better advice of what avenues of release there are for you. And I'll just flag that you called again to check in on your intake. But again, if you don't hear back by next week, then feel free to call again. But there's not much more I can do besides, bumping your intake for them, and hopefully they can give you a response sooner rather than later.
Okay. And the one more thing, I reported this situation the same way I'm reporting it to you. I reported it to the White House during the Donald J. Trump administration, and because it continued to happen, I reported it to the White House during the Biden administration, and then President Biden, he responded to me. He wrote me a letter on my email address, duediligencecorporate@gmail.com, and it says, "The White House, Washington, January 24, 2022. It says, "Dear Mr. Fuad, thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts with me. Hearing from passionate individuals like you inspires me every day, and I welcome the opportunity to respond to your letter. Our country faces many challenges, and the road we will travel together will be one of the most difficult in our history. Despite these tough times, I have never been more optimistic for the future of America. I believe we are better positioned than any country in the world to lead in the 21st century, not just by the example of our power, but by the..."
So this letter is probably good for you to show the attorneys if they can meet with you whenever that is. I can't really help you with anything related to that. So, is there a specific? I can't answer any legal questions or anything of that nature. So I don't know if you had a specific question about it, but
the question.
I recommend you.
My question. My question is what exactly did they mean by this letter? Because it says.
I can't answer that question. I'm sorry. You would have to talk with some attorneys, or that's not a question I have an answer to. So all I can do is just, let them know that you called again, and hopefully someone will follow up with you soon.
Okay. Yeah, because I perceive this letter as like a letter of recommendation in a sense, because in a part of this letter it says, as we move forward to address the complex issues of our time, I encourage you to remain an active participant in helping write the next great chapter of the American story. We need your courage and dedication at this critical time, and we must meet this moment together as the United States of America. If we do that, I believe that our best days still lie ahead. Sincerely, Joe Biden.
It might be, I feel like only Joe Biden's aides or whoever, helped him write that letter, they can really only answer that question. So hopefully someone will get back to you, and if there's nothing else, then I'll just go ahead and send them that email, and you'll probably hear back soon.
Okay. Should I forward that email on the same email thread that I messaged?
No, it's okay. We have our database, of all the emails and everything. So you don't have to forward anything. I'll just let the department know that you called again, and hopefully they'll get back to you. All right. Have a nice day.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Time now is 5:46 p.m. Today is Thursday, April 18th, 2024. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The duration of this audio transcript is 31 minutes and 56 seconds.